Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Today on The Young and the Restless, Phyllis wants Billy to hire Daniel. Lucy and Daniel feel the ball out of nowhere, and Sharon reassures Nick and Mariah. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, Soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. Stepping off the elevator with a giant plant, Phyllis drifts into Billy's office at Abbott Chancellor and begins telling him about her celebrations with her children. He can see some drinks were involved. She says that things are finally looking up for her and the kids. After discussing the importance of Feng Shui, they talk about Chance quitting and her taking his position. Phyllis says he was a great cop, but that doesn't really translate to the corporate world. He can't skirt the edge of right and wrong the way they need to. She's been thinking of the happiness trifecta, and what would make her really happy is if they brought her son back into the company. Billy's considering it, but they have bigger things to focus on at the moment. He offers to drive her back to the club. She needs to put her plant in a wealth corner before they go. Billy and Phyllis sit at the bar at the athletic club, and she continues to gush about how much she wants to celebrate her son getting a job. She stops herself and apologizes, observing things aren't going so well for her boss. Billy claims he's doing good, but she reminds him his relationship just fell apart. Adam hit him, and Victor declared war on him. She's worried about what Victor has planned might do to his family. He admits it could get tricky for Johnny and Katie, but it's their grandpa gunning for the fight, not him. Phyllis reminds him that Victoria offered to buy him out and avoid the fight. He says this isn't about money. It's about solidifying his mother's legacy. He's determined to prove the haters wrong. I am digging in. Abbott Chancellor is not for sale, he insists. It sounds to Billy like Phyllis thinks he's going to lose this fight. Phyllis claims that she thinks he could beat Victor, but is he willing to risk losing everything and being publicly humiliated? Billy is adamant that won't happen. She suggests that he might be doing this because he likes the thrill of risk-taking, which could have consequences for his kids. Aren't there other options? Billy says his kids are the most important thing to him. That's why he plans to use Victoria's reservations about her father's scheme to his advantage. Phyllis can't see that working. Billy is sure Victoria doesn't want a family war and will let him in on what her father has planned. Teasing him, Phyllis suggests he's using the kids to get information. He'd rather say he's helping Victoria help him. She's all for that if he thinks he can make it work. However, she worries he's having some conflicted feelings. Clearly, Billy is emotional and sitting on a lot of rage that is festering and clouding his judgment. Phyllis reminds him that he's about to go in for the fight of his life and he can't act impulsively. It's time to have zero emotion. I've never felt more prepared, he assures her. Daniel and Lucy laugh as they wander into their apartment fresh from the movies. They call for Heather until they notice she's not there. This is weird, he says. Neither of them received any texts or messages from her. Lucy assumes she's gone to get bananas for breakfast. Her dad decides to try calling Heather to find out. At Sharon's place, she flashes back to tossing Heather's corpse into the water before walking down the stairs to join Nick and Mariah. They don't want her to feel like she's under a microscope and just want to help any way they can. Sharon apologizes for her recent behavior. She's been in a really bad place and didn't know what was wrong with her. After running away, she's back home, safe and seeing things clearly. I so appreciate all your support, she tells them. Nick is glad she came back. Mariah asks where she went and what she did. Announcing she owes them the truth, Sharon starts to choke up. Sitting down, she explains that she left because she was desperate and felt confronted constantly. The pressure was too much, and she felt like she might lose control completely. That was terrifying, so she did what she had to do. Sobbing, she tells them how sorry she is. Her head is still spinning, and she hasn't figured it all out. It seemed like she was doing the most logical thing. That's why she confessed. Confessed to what? Asks Nick. Sharon explains that she made a confession to Cassie. She visited her grave and told her all that's happened since they lost her. It made her reflect on her life. All the grief and guilt she's felt since the accident came out. Nick assures her she's not to blame for what happened. That's not something that Sharon could reconcile herself to emotionally. Those feelings festered and resulted in some dark choices. Talking to Cassie helped her come to terms with things for the first time in a long time. It's like she's finally getting off the roller coaster ride and has discovered a steadiness. Nick says that's a positive step, but hopes she's reaching out to her doctor. Sharon says she's already called for an appointment and is ready to work closely with her doctor to get to the bottom of this and take her life back. Nick urges her to stay on the path to getting better. They all stare at Sharon's bag as a phone starts ringing inside it. Is that a new ringtone? Mariah asks. Sharon claims it's just a reminder to get her to take her meds. Leaping up, she pops a pill and gulps. She tells them that she's home and will be fine, so they no longer need to worry. All of their words have sunk in, and that's what brought her home. Nick assures her that their support will never go away. Sharon's exhausted and needs some rest. They take the hint. Mariah gives her a hug, telling her she's glad she's home, and departs. Sharon assures Nick she can make it through the night. He gives her a hug and exits. Back at Daniel's apartment, he and Lucy leave a message for Heather. She wonders if her mom aced her job interview and is coming back to surprise them. Once Sharon is alone at home, she pulls out Heather's phone. That was a close one, huh? Cameron asks her. She listens to the message Daniel and Lucy left for her and realizes they are now home. Sharon asks herself why Heather had to come home and things had to play out this way. Cameron urges her to keep covering her tracks. Instead of asking how this happened, she needs to think about how not to get caught. Telling her she's strong, he warns her not to let up now. He tells her that getting Heather's phone, blocking the tracking of it, and covering with her family were all brilliant. When she starts to panic, he tells her not to get sentimental. This is the time to focus, not to screw up. Sharon decides to send a text to convince them Heather is alive. At Daniel's apartment, Lucy tells her dad how good it was for them to hang out tonight. She knows that she's messed up this summer. Her dad admits he screwed up far worse, but learned his lesson. Lucy is so glad that her parents got back together. Daniel says she's becoming a smart and strong woman like her mom. His daughter is eager to apologize to her again and tell her how important family is. A text comes in from Heather. Reading it, Daniel furrows his brow and then tells her that her mom is not coming home. The text says that she needs to get out of town to clear her head because the situation with Sharon is too upsetting. They're both shocked, and he texts back, asking her to call. Leaping up, Lucy starts to worry that this is her fault and her mom is angry with her. Telling her to slow down, Daniel says her mom would not take off to punish her. If there is anyone to blame in this, it's Sharon. They search the apartment for clues. Lucy discovers an overnight bag, and some clothes are gone. Daniel saw Heather's car in the garage, so she must have taken a cab to an airport or something. They need to believe she will be back in a few days and call soon. But she was fine this afternoon, so this is bizarre and sudden. Back at Sharon's, she reads Daniel's text to Cameron, who tells her to let Romalotti stew. She's not going to respond because she doesn't want to accidentally tip him off. She worries that an investigation will start in a few days when Heather doesn't show up. Pointing out that she went off on that family in public numerous times, she assumes this could make her a suspect. He suggests she can spurt a few tears and act sad. That will be the end of it. You are like the queen of tears on demand, he says, pointing out how easily they worked on her family. Sharon thinks it's time that she and Cameron finish their relationship. He reminds her that the last time she dumped him, she came crawling back. Some doctor isn't going to give her magic pills and make things better. The only way you're going to get out of this is with my help, he insists to her. She tells him to go away, but Cameron doesn't think she means it. There are still things that they need to do. Sharon wants to make peace with killing Heather. He says that won't happen as long as Daniel is alive. Sharon suggests that Romalotti might leave town if he thinks Heather isn't coming back to him. That would leave her home free. Cameron dismisses this as wishful thinking and insists that Daniel hasn't paid enough. She deserves the peace she's been looking for, and that can take getting your hands dirty. When Sharon declares she's done, Cameron intones, "You've already thrown the proverbial stone. Why don't you kill two birds with it?" Next on The Young and the Restless, Victor questions Victoria's loyalty to Billy, Kyle outsmarts Audra, and Nate receives a mysterious message.